Hello, welcome back. So let's have a quick look at some of these coins. I'm going to do one video for all of the coins, just because I'm in a bit of a rush at the moment to get other stuff done. Yes, we'll start off with Bitcoin then, shall we? So Bitcoin is still trending. Well, you could call it sideways. It's within almost a $2,000 range. At the moment, we're being rejected from 12,000. Probably going to find our way back down to maybe even 11,200 before we see a support around that area. Don't be surprised if that area breaks to the downside, however, but I would be very surprised if we got close to 10,000 again. If that were the case, then we would be looking for a much deeper correction, probably as we did before. We'll be testing 9,800, and if that were to break, maybe a little further down, but this remains to be seen. At the moment, the indicators suggest a sideways trend, and when I say sideways, we're talking $1,500 worth of sideways action, anywhere between 11,000 and 12,500, to be honest with you. So we'll have to see how that plays out. And it is dictating a lot of the rest of the market, so bear that in mind. So let's move on to our first one, which is the BTC token. BTC token's holding up relatively well despite the situation with a lot of these alts, these second-rate alts anyway, these IEO coins especially. Yeah, we had a big spike up here. We're on the hourly chart here. This was before a few days prior. But we fell back down quite steeply, to be honest with you, and now we're testing this support level here, 0.001250. So we found a nice support there, and that support should be relatively strong. If we were to test there again, I would expect another bounce from there. This, I wouldn't say it looks bullish, but BitTorrent token is more resilient to all these Bitcoin shenanigans that we find with the other IEOs or ICO coins. So where is it going to go from here? After this bounce, we're going to see if we can perhaps maybe break above this 200 EMA. The 200 EMA is sort of snaking around the place actually, so this would probably not, it would be very difficult for us to break above 0.0013, but if we did, we'd actually be looking to be making incremental moves up to 0.00135 and then 0.0014. Now if that area breaks, then we are looking for some good news. We could probably imagine a top like this taking place again. This could be, it depends on where we're going, if this can remain as a support. If so, then we would have a higher low, which is a good sign for BitTorrent token. Every time we seem to have an established higher low, we then have another sort of bull trend to the up. How many of these consolidation patterns can BitTorrent token have before it collapses? I mean, you know, we'll have to wait and see. But currently, if we're making this low here and we find a bounce from there, what we really need to find would be a higher high. And then if it consolidates again from there, which I'm sure it will, we're likely to find a support on one of these two here. That would suggest at that point a bullish trend. Now this can all change if Bitcoin decides to pull back again, because BitTorrent token is quite susceptible to those pullbacks, but its saving grace would be its Satoshi value. Its Satoshi value is so small here that it actually gives it some kind of resilience against these sort of things. Now I was hoping that this 200 EMA on the Satoshi value on the Bitcoin pairing would actually snake up and remain snaked up. Still has that chance, however. What we really need to see is for this to stay up. It needs to stay up now for a few days. We need our Satoshi value to increase at least by another 2 or 3 and remain that way for a few days before we can start to see another trend form such as this. But generally I'm quite hopeful for this. I think this looks like a relatively decent bounce, and we're very early in the making of it. We'll see how that one plays out. So on to the next one. What is that there? We'll get rid of that. Matic. Okay, so Matic is suffering once again. It likes to suffer. It's actually looking very sorry for itself. That said, though, indicator would suggest that there's buying opportunity here, so we've found ourselves a support, perhaps maybe this descending line that we had that we were stuck beneath has now become support, which is terrible really because it is still descending. So we'll see how that one plays out. More likely that it's actually found support around here because this area was previously a support for us. Yeah, that area signified the big bounce that we had on this occasion, so perhaps we could be looking at some form of recovery here, maybe back up to well, let's just hope we get up to 190 satoshis again. That is a very good value for us to get above. It needs to be above this 200 EMA for the 200 EMA to start bending up, but currently on the Bitcoin pairing we're beneath pretty much all major moving averages, and finding actual resistance on those moving averages too. So a lot of this is to do with Bitcoin's movements. Have a look at the tether pairings. The tether pairings looking kind of worse. We broke right beneath here as we did before. I found a resistance around here. Sorry, a support around here. So let's pop that one in there. So yeah, getting down to our bottom levels again. This was kind of to be expected as we had such sharp sell-offs after this big move here. Technically, you could call this area here high-low as well, but it's pretty much the same. It's pretty much the same. So I'm not going to read too much into this. We've got to wait to see how this one plays out and if this bounce actually even takes place. At the moment, it's looking pretty sorry for itself. Next coin then, so we're on Celr. Celr is a coin that I'd recently put my money into. It looked, when we go back in sort of recent history, I mean it's after this was its little parabolic top that it had, and actually started to recover quite well and quite a decent structure to it here, and then it fell from grace alongside the other IEOs. Because of Bitcoin's movement. But looking at it now, it's actually looking like it wants to start to recover. However, we have had a lower low here, which is unfortunate for us. Let's have a look at it on a higher time frame. On the 4 hourly. Yeah, the 4 hourly looks a bit sad. We're finding bounces at the bottom of the Bollinger Band, but generally we're beneath pretty much most of the moving averages, bouncing under the 200 EMA. So we'll see how this one plays out. Let's have a look at the Bitcoin Celr movement. So we've got on the hourly, it looks like a bit of time to move to the up. We're finding ourselves spiraling down though, ever so slowly but steadily spiraling down beneath all moving averages, so it's not looking great. They do have a mainnet release on the 8th, I believe, so that should help boost its profile, but currently it's not looking too good either. And one, pretty much the same. These coins kind of trade similarly, but actually one is looking a little more promising than these other coins. However, we are down in the dumps again with one. If we can hold this area here, that would be a high-low. So perhaps, and according to the MACD, there's room for buying up. It's not very erect, but it's looking okay. RSI's right down. So this could be the start of a bounce for one as well. We are being rejected off these moving averages here, so that's not a great sign. And again, a lot of this is dictated with the way that Bitcoin's moving, and we're looking at this tether pairings. Just kind of looks the same, but actually on this occasion it is a lower low. So maybe it hasn't got a little further to go before there's a bounce. RSI looks like it wants a small recovery, but the MACD, sorry, and the RSI's neither here nor there. These coins are putting in new lows really before ready for a bounce. I think the only one that looks relatively promising to me would be the BitTorrent token. Those other IEOs are looking to put in probably a little bit lower, finding sort of new lows before they discover their bounce. Either that, or they have just recently discovered this new low and they will start to bounce from here. It's not exactly clear. These coins are never really exactly clear. They are pretty much as low as they have been in a long time, so maybe we will see a bounce, but how big the bounce will be is difficult for me to say. So obviously I'm not your financial advisor, so this is just This is just my take on the situation. These coins are very difficult to map out because they're so young. That said, as it stands, they're putting in new lows, and if these lows can bounce from here, then we'll have to see how the next consolidation move takes place with them before we sort of chart out any kind of promising bull trend on them. But at the moment, they're pretty much all bearish, and the only one that looks of any quality is the BitTorrent token, and even that is well, it's at the very beginning of what could be a decent bounce. Anyway, I hope that was useful to you. Like I say, I'm not your financial advisor, so please do your own research. And I hope you all have a nice day. Oh, and by the way, thank you for the donations to those guys who donated. Really appreciate that. You know who you are. Yeah, hope you have a nice day too. Take it easy.